everyone, and welcome to Under SF Inspire. Thank you for joining us today. I'm one of your hosts, Tina Nguyen.
And I'm Tyler McKinney. On today's show, we'll be featuring an amazing organization that you may or may not already know of, San Francisco Women Against Rape, aka SF4.
They are a San Francisco-based organization that started in 1973 as a 20-hour per week rape crisis hotline.
In the early 80s, so not that long ago, SF4 expanded their services. Now, they offer a 24-hour free and confidential crisis hotline as well as counseling and support groups.
SF4 has continued to grow within San Francisco and has helped the community with many events. They sponsor Take Back the Night March and is also part of San Francisco's Adult Sexual Task Force. They are also involved in setting up many educational resources for victims of sexual assault.
SF4 is a volunteer-based organization, which makes it that much more amazing. It's ran by women from various ethnic backgrounds. They have a huge role in the SFSU community and are the primary provider of rape crisis services in San Francisco. SF4 volunteers provide training to residential life on the SF State campus. They're the go-to resource when school services are unavailable for students.
That's not all. They also provide training to healthcare workers, medical professionals, educators, and law enforcement officers throughout the city. All of these services are provided free of charge and are 100% confidential. Now, let's go specifically into Title IX. Both SF4 and Title IX are kind of working toward the same agenda when it comes to stopping sexual harassment. Title IX is an educational amendment from 1972. It helps prevent discrimination on the basis of gender or sexual orientation within all educational programs.
Title IX protects students and faculty against sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, domestic violence, and stalking. This amendment is truly essential for everyone who are targeted victims.
Along with SF4 and Title IX, social media has played a huge role with issues of sexual harassment.
Speaking of social media, lately I've been seeing #MeToo everywhere. In case you've been living under a rock, #MeToo was the ultimate attempt to raise awareness and understanding of how prevalent sexual harassment really is amongst women in our communities. This idea is genius because it allows women to publicly speak about their experiences without having to give too much detail. Tina and I hit the streets to speak to fellow students about the #MeToo campaign, Title IX, and SF4 to see what they had to say about them.
Hi everyone, we're back again with
Words About Women. And today we're on campus at SF State to get students' opinions on rape culture.
Let's go talk to some people.
Trevor, we are in college, and sometimes that means that unfortunate situations happen. How safe do you feel on campus, usually?
Me personally, I feel safe. I don't know if anyone else can say the same thing or if everyone else can say the same, but I personally have never can say that I felt unsafe on campus.
Do you feel SF State is a safe campus when it comes to dealing with sexual harassment?
Actually, no, because of all the Cleary reports, and it feels like it's pretty often. And I remember my freshman year, it was just always I wouldn't say rampant, but it was always pretty. You would get an email once a week or once a month about someone being someone exposing themselves or something in that manner. So yeah.
So does it make you feel a little unsafe whenever you get these emails?
Yeah, especially walking at night. Say last year I used to have night classes. This year I'm happy I don't. So when I would walk back home at night, I know I'd be running practically.
So far, I do think it's safe in regards to sexual harassment. I know that there was an email that I got in a program I did. I guess all students are required to do it online, the Title IX training. So I did that, and even though it took me hours and it was kind of annoying, I do appreciate that it was there because it made me think about it. And I think that's true probably for everyone who had to do it.
Yeah, more people need to know about it.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Have you heard of the #MeToo campaign?
Yes, I have. #MeToo is a lot of celebrities have participated, right, where they talked about their sexual harassment experiences. Yeah, I have heard about that.
Have you read some of the stories or comments with people #MeToo?
Well, I haven't read them on Twitter, but I have heard about them and read them online, people quoting them and being surprised by who has been harassed in the past. Yeah.
I like the hashtag #MeToo campaign. We kind of talked about it. How do you feel about it? Do you feel like it's spreading the word, raising awareness?
I think it absolutely is. I think it's really, I mean, it's really just kind of empowering to see other people, for their sake, kind of come out and tell these really horrible stories, or at least come to terms with it. And I can't, like, it's just, I don't know. I really just kind of commend people that are courageous enough to do that.
So the show we're doing, this week we're highlighting SF War, so it's San Francisco Women Against Rape. Do you feel like there's enough resources on campus for people who are dealing with the situation?
That's a good question. I mean, I've gotten the emails that tell people where the resources are, what they are. Mm-hmm. So if I got those, I think other students are getting communication about that too. So I feel like the university is doing a good job, but I don't see anything like around campus necessarily. Maybe that could be an additional thing to do, like maybe put some signs up or something. Mm-hmm. But I haven't seen that. Yeah.
There's the safe place on campus where it's like, if you want to go there for confidentiality, like you say you are sexually assaulted and you don't want, to make a police report, and you just want to be you want to talk to someone, there's a safe place here, but I don't know if a lot of people know about it. And then there's the Title IX office, but even that, it's still like, is it really like said a lot? Like we have trainings, but about sexual assault for freshmen, and even like if you're a returning student, but I feel like a lot of people don't take it seriously. They're just like, oh, I have to do this thing for an hour. It's not like, oh wow, this is serious, I should take it seriously.
Yeah, I definitely agree. More people should know about it.
Yeah.
Tough crowd today.
Yeah, it was really tough. Not everybody was willing to talk to us.
I mean, it is a hard topic to touch on.
Yeah, I agree. But we will be back.
Yep, I can't wait to get out there and talk to more people soon.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Let me tell you about the toughest guy on earth. He does the work of 2 jobs, but only gets paid for one. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Everything starts out small. The things that hurt us, they all start from somewhere. The words we say, the things we do, they can grow into something else. What was small and innocent can become big and sometimes scary. All it takes is one comment, one picture, one video for something to catch fire. But a big problem doesn't need a big response. Not at first. Even if we don't know what to say, the eye emoji can be that first step we take. Let's all pledge to take that first small step together and change the world in a big way. I'm a witness, and so are you.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Under SF Inspire, a show where we highlight women's roles in Bay Area organizations. This episode, we're taking a look at San Francisco Women Against Rape, an organization that helps victims of sexual assault within the San Francisco area.
We were able to get a closer look at what SF War is all about.
My name is Lorene Dominguez, and I'm the coordinator with the Safe Place here at San Francisco State University. We've been a program here at San Francisco State for, I think it's 25 years now. We're like one of the longest running advocacy programs on a university campus. And I provide support services for survivors only, and I provide support for survivors of violence and how sexual violence in particular. So that includes like domestic or dating violence, any kind of sexual harassment, sexual assault, and also also stalking issues. And I work with students, faculty, and staff as long as people are affiliated with the campus. You know, I do this work because I am also a survivor. I grew up in a family where there was a lot of violence, and I just assumed that that's just how relationships were, you know. And everybody I knew had a similar experience, so it normalized it. And so a lot of the reason why I feel so passionate about doing this work is because, you know, I didn't have someone that kind of gave a different view or opinion about what was going on. And, you know, I wish I had that, because I think it would have really had a big impact in my life. I do feel like through my experience just working with college students, I would say the majority of the students that I've worked with have had some form of sexual violence trauma in some form, whether it's something that recently happened or stuff that happened when they were a lot younger. So like family violence, or knowing somebody that dealt with sexual violence. In addition to just the direct counseling that I do, I also have just resources on community agencies that do work around those areas, those aspects of sexual violence. And SF4, San Francisco Women Against Rape, is the organization that we actually do a lot of work with. So one of the things, we work with their 24-hour support. They have a hotline, 24-hour hotline. So when I'm off, so I'm on call here at San Francisco State pretty much Monday through Friday, 9 to like 6, 9 to 5. After that, so 5 to 9 a.m. and then also on the weekends, if people need support, they actually go through SF4. So they will utilize the 24-hour hotline to get support through San Francisco Women Against Rape. I got trained at SF4. I'm an advocate there, so I've been working with SF4 also for multiple years. And that's kind of where I got trained to do crisis counseling. Especially with sexual violence, I feel like so much of it is about people not having power and not having their voice, you know, and the majority of folks don't report. And so it does become, I think, for a lot of survivors, something that they just keep to themselves. And maybe they tell people here and there, but you know, there's something about the process of you know, I don't feel like everybody needs to stand up and kind of say stuff, but I do feel like it can be a very healing process for some survivors in terms of saying, this happened to me and it wasn't right, and I'm not the only person, you know. And there's a real big healing process that I think can be very powerful for survivors. Yeah. In order for sexual violence to end, everybody has to be involved in it. And, you know, it can't just be women kind of addressing the issue. It has to be something that as a community, we all kind of stand up against.
Are we there yet?
Yep. We're here.
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Every year, 40% of all food in the U.S. never gets eaten.
40%. That's almost half the food we produce.
Food waste is a serious problem. It impacts all of us.
And it's expensive. Your family is throwing $1,500 a year in the trash.
We're working hard to put food waste on the chopping block.
And you can do the same at home.
Learn how to cook it, store it, and share it.
Just don't waste it.
Go to savethefood.com.
Recently, our country has witnessed catastrophic devastation. Hurricanes and flooding have upended lives and livelihoods.
Across this great country, Americans have answered the call.
That special calling that compels us, when others are down, to step up and do whatever it takes.
America's at her best when, against all odds, we come together and lift each other up.
Please donate to oneamericaappeal.org. America needs you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Under SF Inspire. Today in studio, we have a very special guest with us. We will be talking to Christina Lee, the Director of Training and Recruitment at SF War. First of all, welcome Christina Lee. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Let's take it back to your college days when you first volunteered with WEAVE, a crisis line service. Was that what first sparked your interest to get more involved in this line of work?
Absolutely. Actually, the original thing that got me into this work was I was taking a women's self-defense class, and the professor told us about WEAVE, and I said to myself, this is something that I absolutely need to do. I feel called to do this. And so I took their training, and I worked volunteered as a domestic violence and sexual assault counselor on their hotline until it came time to move back to San Francisco and actually transfer to SF State. And when I did that, I made a list of all of the orgs in San Francisco that were doing this work. And then one day I was walking by the women's building and I said to myself, oh my God, friends, SF War is in there. Hold on. Ran upstairs, filled out an application for their training, and the rest is history.
And you're here working with the organization now. Yeah. When you first started, you were the Crisis and Hotline Associate. Now, as the Director of Recruitment and Training, what's the difference?
Well, I am a lot more hands-on with the training. That means that I am scheduling the variety of different presenters that we have that talk to our volunteer trainees about all of the skills that they're going to need to learn. And that also means that I'm scheduling more of the ongoing educational opportunities that they have. And
so I imagine every day is a little different. Can you kind of walk us through a regular day in your work life?
Yeah, so usually what I do is I go to work, grab my bagel, make my coffee, check the email, and kind of see what things people need. So right now it's training time. So what I'm doing is I am checking in and making sure that our presenters are ready to go, finding out if they've got things that they need printed, making sure that I'm following up with the volunteers about things that they need.
And if we're talking about sexual violence and sexual assault, it can be a very taboo subject. How do you guys as an organization break down the barriers and create a more welcoming environment for everyone?
Well, it's a really intentional process. So SF War was initially founded by a group of white women that saw that these services were needed, and then in the course of doing that work and also doing anti-racist work, they realized, hey, so we don't look like the people in the communities that we're serving, and we need to be better about that. And so we have prioritized communities that we work with, women who are homeless and marginally housed, queer and trans women of color, youth, women with disabilities.
You guys open up the service to everyone.
And then we also made sure to make sure that we were trying to recruit people from those communities in order to also do this work. Because there's an understanding that you have providing services when you're from a community rather than when you're coming out of the communities.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. This fact was also mentioned in our package when Lorraine talked about it, but so when women start, 1 out of 6 women after they turn the age of 18 have a chance of getting raped, and for men it's 1 out of 11. You guys open the services and help up to men as well, right?
Yeah, we support folks of all genders, and I think that that's something that's really important to share because people see San Francisco Women Against Rape and assume that we don't want to include men in the work or that we don't support men or folks that don't identify with a gender.
Yeah, that's great that you guys can open it up to everyone. Your latest event was the comedy benefit, and first of all, I love the name, She Who Laughs Lasts. Do you guys try to do these events often?
Yes, we've got basically 3 events that we do regularly. We have Walk Against Rape, which is every year in April, which is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We actually see lots of folks from SF State coming to participate, especially like with fundraising and just the beautiful signs that folks make. We also, and then Artists Against Rape happens every other year, and so does She Who Laughs Last. So we kind of will alternate between the 2.
That's amazing to see everyone come together. You started with the organization back in April of 2014. What's the progress you've seen within SF4 from when you started to the present?
Well, SF4 is always continuing to do research and think about how we can better support folks in our communities. And so, I mentioned women with disabilities as one of our prioritized communities. And, when I started, it wasn't officially a prioritized community. It was one that we were, definitely interested in supporting. And we've been doing really amazing work with Patty Byrne of Sins Invalid on disability justice and learning how to better support and understand the experiences and needs of survivors with disabilities.
That's amazing. This fact was stated on your website back in 2005 that you guys have reached over 13,000 people. So I can only imagine how much higher that number is today. Let's bring it back to the show. We're about inspiring and being inspired and meeting empowering women such as yourself. So I have to ask, what is it like working with such inspiring women in your organization?
It's incredible. I mean, I've never been in a, place that has, so much intention around women of color and the issues that we are working on. And, my coworkers and the volunteers that I work with inspire me every day. The survivors that we work with inspire me every day.
That's amazing to hear. Thank you so much, Christina, for joining us today. When we come back, we will have a very incredible performance from Hannah Gamari.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing.
I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels.
After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak.
Meals on Wheels, coming to my door as someone who's housebound, having someone check on me, assures me that I'm not forgotten.
Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise.
We're the clients.
We are the clients.
We are the clients of Meals on Wheels.
America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
So there you are, shuffling through a stack of resumes and you come to mine. This is it, first impression, my way in. But can my resume show you how I truly stand out? Like that I was studying, going to night school while working 2 jobs just to help my parents pay for groceries. Or being the first one to always step up. No, that's something you just can't put on paper. Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent that is dedicated, hardworking, and determined like me.
And now we have the chance to hear the beautiful voice of Hannah Kamari right here in our studio.
Check it out.
You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but all your bullets ricochet. You shoot me down, but I get up. Bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, far away. Ricochet, you take your aim. Far away, far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. I am titanium. Ghost town and haunted love. Raise your voice. Sticks and stones may break my bones. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away, far away. Ricochet, you take your aim. Far away, far away. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. I am titanium. Stone hard, machine gun. Fire as the one who run. Stone hard, the bulletproof glass. Shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. You shoot me down, but I won't fall. I am titanium. I am titanium.
Amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was great. Thank you again to that great performance by Hannah Kamari.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. And thank you to San Francisco Women Against Rape for letting us in and allowing us to see what your organization is all about.
Do not forget to visit sfwar.org to find more information and events that SF War will be putting on.
From all of us here at Under SF Inspire, thank you for joining us. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Tina. We will see you next time, San Francisco.